My friends, hello, we're leaving the Bay of Ajaccio. Ajaccio, I think that's how you say it, like they say here. In any case, they write it in a very particular way. It's the city of Mr. Bonaparte. There are plenty of things dedicated to this illustrious figure. So we're being followed by a small boat. Wait, I'll show you. We're being followed by a tiny boat over there, look, which we call, and it's not the... My friends from Bordeaux won't contradict me on that. This boat is called the pilot boat. I assure you, it's called the pilot boat. Okay, it carries the pilot. So it's a bit like in aviation where you have a pilot who does the takeoff and then once you reach 10,000 feet, he jumps out. So I realize that it's pulling alongside the ship. I think it's going to pick up the pilot who helped us leave. That's it.
Voilà.
We have it over there in the distance. Over there in the distance, there's a Corsica Lines ferry that left at exactly the same time. So the two ships are following a parallel course, okay? And behind us, you can see the city of Ajaccio, which is getting farther away. It's a magnificent place that I will come back to. It's really a place I will return to because I understand, you can fall in love with a place like this. And that's actually the point of coming by boat like this. It lets you spend a day. There, we went to the beach, we ate ice cream, we walked around the streets, and honestly, I can tell you that this is a country I want to visit again. So, there you go. So today I came to talk to you about something. There's a newspaper that I actually found in Corsica. It's called L'Europe. And here, if you look at the featured article, Influence and Interference, Europe in the Crosshairs. So Europe in the crosshairs, what does that mean? It means that the European Union is being targeted by attempts at foreign interference. We're talking directly about them. You guessed it, Russia. We also add China just to make it look good, just to deflect a little, but we're really thinking about Russia in these circumstances. So what's the point? Hold on, I'll step back into the shade. What's the end game here? What's the point of all this? Here's the idea. It's that France is preparing for an election next year. And so the point is to say, look, people voted, but they didn't vote because they wanted to express a legitimate civic opinion, but they voted because they were manipulated by the Russians or even by the Chinese. That's what we did. That's what happened at the time of Brexit, when the Brexit referendum passed and the British voted to leave the European Union. The British have always been extremely Eurosceptic, so they voted, and then there was really no doubt about the integrity of the vote. But what we tried to do was look for, and we found a Russian account that had spent, get this, 97 cents, less than €1, 97 cents, on Facebook to promote a page that encouraged the British to vote for leaving the European Union. And we used that. There was even a news article and everything saying that Russia manipulated the elections. So it manipulated the referendum with exactly an investment of 97 cents. And by the way, since then the law has changed. Today, when you go on Facebook or elsewhere and you want to pay for advertising, they ask you who you are, where you come from. And then they'll refuse if they feel that, for example, your content could be political or something else, They make you sign declarations. They can even refuse you. All right, it's just because of those 97 cents. Closer to us in Romania, there were presidential elections. What did we do with them? What did we do with the elections? Well, the winning candidate was arrested by the police and the elections were cancelled. Because we said, well, we want to protect democracy. Remember, we're in a country in a time when everything is upside down. So we say democracy needs to be saved. And what does democracy want for its salvation? Democracy wants us to cancel the elections. So there you go. Because the citizen was a minor. The citizen is always someone immature, who lacks maturity, who has never reached full maturity and complete civic awareness. He always needs authorities who have to protect him from bad influences, just like you would protect a 12 or 13-year-old kid from bad company. So in this case, the elections in Romania were cancelled. And then they replaced the guy with someone else. They made them vote again. And so today, who talks about it? No one. You see, it's like what we did in France with the Lisbon Treaty. The Lisbon Treaty, before that, we had the French vote on the European Constitution. They voted no. But it went through anyway. We did the same thing to the Irish. The Irish, we did the same thing to them in 2007, I think, if I remember correctly. 2007, 2008. They voted against it, so we made them vote again until they voted yes. Afterward, we stopped voting. You see, and what's extraordinary, and this is where it's dramatic, is that the system knows the public doesn't care. It knows that we can do anything to them. People will be outraged for 48 hours, then stop. Does anyone talk about the Lisbon Treaty now, or be genuinely outraged by it? It's rarely mentioned or used as an argument anymore. You see? Same in Ireland. Who talks about that time when they were forced to vote again and again? No one. You see? So the thing is, the system today is well aware that it can absolutely cancel an election for any reason. It'll cause a bit of a stir for 2 or 3 days. It'll impose whatever it wants, and within a week, people will move on to something else. That's about people's attention span. It's the attention span, as they say. It's the TikTok type attention span. People can't think very far ahead. They can't remember things. So you can impose anything on them. And then eventually they won't accept it, and then we'll move on to something else. All right. So in France, if you look at this article, well, it also coincides with the fact that at the same time, a commission against electoral interference was created in France. And the goal, I think, is to prepare an arsenal right now, so that potentially if the system ends up with a candidate, all right, that it doesn't like, well, potentially they could just cancel the elections. All it would take is to play the Russian or Chinese card, say, look, the French would never have voted like this of their own free will, all right? They voted because they were manipulated online. And so at that point, we'll just put a stop to it, protect the integrity of the republic, protect the elections, protect democracy. And democracy means we cancel everything. So the vote can be cancelled without any further proceedings. There's not even a commission. By the way, expect a level of censorship in France by next year like you've never seen in your life, especially on social media. Because quite simply, we know that social media is currently, or they've already overtaken the mainstream media, the traditional media that tell you how to vote, you know, the calls to vote, you know, when they bring in celebrities, when they bring in imams, rabbis, Freemasons, they bring in university deans, football players, jugglers, anyone, they bring them in who say vote for the republic. Those people, they don't appear on social media. On social media, people make fun of them. Those people, what they'll do is go on mainstream media, in the newspapers, you know, on the 8 o'clock news. But those media outlets are losing. They're losing their momentum, their influence. So what does the state do? It can't rig the elections as easily as they do in Africa. You can't have a presidential election where after polls close, plainclothes police or soldiers take the ballot boxes and disappear. That doesn't happen in France. People would notice. So what do? We have to manipulate people through public opinion. That means we let them have the freedom to vote as long as they vote the way they're told. And they're told by the state media. The media that are under state influence, that's all. So social networks are bound to be censored. For example, and this isn't just in France, the United Kingdom has very seriously asked, for example, social media like YouTube and others, asked them to allow access to their algorithms so that officials can choose which videos will be highlighted. So when you check your video feed, you won't see the videos you're subscribed to. It's all in their heads. Well, you're going to find like the BBC, you're going to find official sources, officials talking, all that. You see, it's literally the USSR. That's what they're imagining in their heads. So that's it. Now, let's say that doesn't work. Let's say at some point they can't manage to control social media. In that case, well, they'll have to get more brutal. And then, for example, they cancel the elections. They declare a state of emergency and stop holding elections for good. That's how it is. Anyway, my friends, it's going to get loud here. Watch out, protect your ears. Careful, the rope is about to... There's a much closer one. The one you heard is far away. But there's one much closer. I'll show you. It's right there. Look, you see where you're going to write? It's right there. And that one, I swear, if it goes off, I won't have my hat anymore. So as I was saying, it's building up. That's how it's going. So they're keeping that in reserve. They are controlling information through censorship. They reserve the right to change the election results if things go wrong, simply by saying that it's Russia or China that's influencing it. And the last thing they don't talk about is the state of emergency and no election, nothing at all. So that's it, my friends. Before leaving, let me remind you that the Circle Lucide, my coaching group, is open. Registration is open from time to time. For the past few weeks, it was closed, and now they are temporarily open for the next cohort that will start on August 24th, all right? So you have the opportunity to sign up. And then we'll work on your issue, whatever it may be. Issues with an S at the end, it's plural. During the last circle, during the last session, sorry, a lot of people left with something. For some, it was literally a life-changing moment. For others, it was the trigger for something. It triggered a release, the clearing of a blockage. It was an illumination, renewed determination. So the link, I'll give it to you, circlelucide.com. I'll put it in the video description, in the pinned comment. And I'll see you in the next one. There you go, my friends. See you very soon.